West Ham are shocking. That really is the only way to describe what is a shambolic performance for West Ham. And once again, it's happened at the London Stadium. West Ham haven't won at the London Stadium since February this year, which is unbelievably bad record at home. You just can't be sustainable and be a football club when you keep losing this many games at home, because as we're seeing now, the fans will continue and will turn. Did you see how empty the stadium was when they were 3-0 down? And can you really blame them? Because they're going to every game at home expecting this to happen. And it was once again against a London rival, as we saw against Chelsea. As soon as they go 1 or 2-0 down, or in the Chelsea perspective, 2-1 down, they just collapse. And we see it once again. They cannot concede without actually playing well. We saw it against Sunderland as well. When they went 1-0 down against Sunderland, they collapsed, and that is what's a real concern for me. They're showing no fight or grit, and this is really not a good combination when you're a team that could be potentially lingering around relegation. So should West Ham actually be lingering around relegation? Probably not, because they've still got a lot of quality in the squad. If you just look at this team, you go, Juve looks like a good player. You've got Kyle Walker-Peters, who's a very solid right back in the Premier League. You've got Jared Bowen, you've got Mateus Fernandes, who's a new sign, you've got Somerville, and you've got Paqueta. I think those are sort of 6 players that would get into any sort of team that's sort of lingering around relegation easily. They would be like star players. So West Ham really shouldn't be in a relegation fight. But the issue is the squad around it. First of all, you can't have a midfield of Tomáš Souček and Ward-Prowse. I mean, it's so slow, it's so old, and it just doesn't have any pace in it. And so what they did is they tried to play more midfielders today to try to sort of compensate for that, is what I've sort of wanted to sort of understand what was the approach from Graham Potter. So he brought in Lucas Paqueta to almost play as a false 9. That just didn't really work from a West Ham perspective, and they never sort of looked like threatening using this sort of tactic. They did, however, look better in the first half, but they once again didn't control any of the football, and this was the problem. And I just think when you're not controlling the game, what you do need is a striker up front, because you need someone that can get into the box and score the goals, because you just end up sort of having too many players sort of trying to defend, sit back, and it's really hard to break and get forward. And I think this was the issue that West Ham had today. So who could West Ham play in that number 9? Well, this is the issue. Wilson appears that he's not match fit, and he can only get for about 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. So he's not really an option. He's only an option off the bench. Nicholas Fulkrug was unused, which just shows that Graham Potter is not that happy with how he's playing, and he hasn't been playing very good. So that leaves West Ham with not a lot of options. I mean, the only other option is probably Jared Bowen, but you want him starting off the right. So once again, I think this comes back to poor recruitment by West Ham, especially in the number 9, which we've seen over and over again. And it's a continuous issue for West Ham in terms of signing number 9s that will work for how they want to play football. I mean, these stats do actually tell the story that West Ham were well and truly dominated by Spurs, but I'm not even going to focus on sort of the shots or anything. I'm going to focus on position, which just showed sort of how Spurs never sort of looked like having problems. Obviously, the Souček red card didn't help that for West Ham, and that allowed Spurs to just dominate the game. But that issue continued before that even happened. West Ham continued to have troubles in terms of a pressing structure that works for Graham Potter, and that is part of Graham Potter football, and he's not really got the ability to use that right now. And I just think that he's got to go, Graham Potter, because he's just not the right fit for West Ham. Maybe it's not really his fault. Maybe the players don't suit what he's trying to do, so get rid of him. He might not be a bad manager, but I still think he isn't a great manager anyway. And he's proven that with sort of how he's sort of struggling in the last couple of jobs he's had. But I also think the squad just doesn't suit him at all. And if you also look at it, the corners, that's the other thing that tells the story. West Ham have continued to have trouble from set pieces. The corners also show that to the story of domination, because the domination of it is ridiculous. West Ham continuously are having to defend and give away corners, and this doesn't work because West Ham is so weak from set pieces. They've conceded 5 set piece goals now, and just really real problems for West Ham, and they could have conceded more. Obviously, the Romero goal was disallowed. I probably think that it should have been allowed, to be honest, and there were also other chances where you'd think Spurs should have capitalised and scored. Now, just having a quick look at the game from the Spurs perspective. I think Spurs really today showed a very complete but also professional performance. two words that you struggle to probably use under Ange Postecoglou, and I think that's really the difference between Ange Postecoglou and Thomas Frank. It was also very controlled. That's another word you could use to display this performance. Such a good control performance. They never looked in doubt, Spurs, as soon as they scored, and they dominated the ball, and they were a bit risk averse at points, but they knew exactly what they were doing in terms of getting the win. They knew if they just kept the ball, West Ham wouldn't have the pressing ability, especially with 10 men, to be able to find a way through. So who really impressed? I thought the whole defence was good today. Obviously, Romero played a brilliant ball into Bergvall to get the goal, as well as Van der Ven finding himself a goal. And I thought Spence was just a solid player. Like, they never really had too much freedom. Vicario to make a couple of saves, if that. Bergvall obviously scored and played well throughout the game, got given man of the match. Joao Palhinha, brilliant performance from Joao Palhinha. Exactly what Spurs lacking last year, and I continue to say this. One of the best signings of the summer, and will go completely under the radar. Just a destroyer of midfield. That's what Joao Palhinha is, and he's exactly what they need. Pape Matar Sarr, another very good performance from him, obviously getting the goal from the corner. This midfield isn't hugely attacking, but Sarr and Bergvall does give that a bit more of an element, but it's also very solid and very difficult to break down. And that is sort of why Spurs have only conceded one goal in their first 4 games, a record that you would never have been able to say under Ange Postecoglou. Xavi Simons, I thought, played well throughout the game, getting himself assists, looked pretty solid on his debut from the corner. Matheus Tel, I think we can tell that Tel was definitely a squad option and not the first choice option, and he will go with Richarlison. He was coming back from international duty. And Kudus, I thought, threatened at points against his former team. Just exactly what you need from West Ham. From Spurs. I don't think any player from Spurs really underperformed. I can't really say the same for West Ham. I'd say the only player that really looked good for West Ham was probably the goalkeeper Hermansen, who denied the score from being 4 or 5 goals. So from what I can see from Spurs, they look like a very promising side. But I think their real key thing is making sure that they can stay consistent, which I think Thomas Frank should be able to do more eventually for Spurs. That's the key for Spurs, is to stay consistent. So anyway, that is the end of the video. Please let me know your thoughts on this game. Did West Ham play better than maybe I've given them credit? Are there any positives for West Ham? I just really struggling to see them. I just think the place just looks depressed in general. And from a Spurs perspective, are you now really excited for this season? This looks very promising, and it looks like a side that could definitely push Champions League football with how they are playing. And if you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe to help support the channel.